usually, my films were using a lot of fictions and imaginations and stories, and I was mixing plots and counterplots and etc. And I started to think that it could be, it could be interesting for me, to put the fiction out, to throw it out, through the door. And strangely enough, through the acting process, the fiction came back through the window, so in an odd way, But I wanted to base all my films, this new film, on real facts, real events. So it was really coming from a documentary piece, that I adapted for screen, and everything which happens in all the small stories, the runaway girl, the rape, the murder, etc. Everything happened in my hometown, and I want to depict that hometown.
And when did you leave Roubaix?
Oh, I left at the age of 17 years old, but my parents are still alive and they are still staying in Roubaix.
Oh, okay.
Yes, luckily. And it's strange, because it's a city usually in my previous films. This city, I showed it as a fairy tale, an enchanted country or something like that. And perhaps is it because, when I was young, I lived a life of a cinephile, which means a very boring life, which means that I was trapped into my room, I was looking at films on TV, reading books, and sometimes going to theaters, to see films indeed, and that was it. So in a way, I could say that I never experienced my city. And that in this film, for the first time, I experienced my hometown. And this time, it's the first time that I was able to pay tribute to a community, which is the Algerian community, when I grew up beside these guys and girls, and I was able, at last, at my age, to pay tribute to that community.
And has it changed a lot since you lived there?
No, it's poor, dirty, violent, and today it's plus religion. That's the only change.
And now we have a question? Okay. Can you speak a bit louder?
Yes, I got a big voice. Merci beaucoup. Je parle tout le français, ma prononciation c'est très bien, ma compréhension c'est très mauvais. So I will speak in English, as you speak in English. I honor you for speaking so well.
Can you hear me? Yes. Yeah. The transcripts. The girls, the actresses were speaking the actual transcripts that their what do you call it? Their confession. So they were speaking in the words of their actual confession. And what happened to the girls? What were they sentenced with?
Yes. Yes, the film was based on the transcripts, so so now I will answer to your question, don't be anxious about that, for sure I will answer. But the thing is that, for the actors, they respected the transcripts, and my goal was to use that transcript as if it was pure poetry or pure theater, and to take humble words and to transform them into a film, But the rest of the cast, all the cops were played by the real cops of Roubaix. It was not actors. The runaway girl is a runaway girl, the bad guys are nice guys, and that's it. So for these non-actors, they were improvising their lines when the actors respected the transcripts that we had. And what happened to the two girls is that life is unfair, so Marie took 20 years, and Claude took 12 years, I think. Yeah, for the murder. And but Marie had a little more than 20 years in jail, so she's still in jail.
And did you interview them for the film?
Oh, never. What I did is, I read Crime and Punishment twice in 2 different translations, and that was enough for me. I needed to dream about, and not to stick to reality.
Vancouver, nous sommes jumelles. Je parle un peu le français, très peu. Merci. I must ask you, because we are actors as well, the process between the actors and the non-actors was positively seamless. The actors have already got professional experience being actors, did they help the non-actors in their roles? Because it was positively seamless. I couldn't tell who was professional and who was not. It was très authentique.
The thing is that, you know, when I was writing, I didn't know how I would do. You know, I had no idea. Now, doing such a film, I thought that I had one, not enemy, but there was one thing that I had to fight against. It was TV shows, you know, because each evening when you are in America or in France, you go back home and you look at TV shows about precincts, you know, on all channels, you know. So I thought, what will I do? Will I hire actors, second-rate actors doing that job, you know, playing, you know, cops films, you know, for TV, etc. And I thought, why not to go and visit people in Roubaix and to visit them and to see what they can bring to. And you know, and my assistant did go there and sent me tapes, and I met wonderful guys, you know. And but after that, I realized when I arrived that when they were acting, they were terrible. And I thought, I'm the sinner, you know, it's because I'm in the room and suddenly they are bad, and so I'm a terrible director, you know, so it doesn't work. And I realized that why I did love them is because they were not actors. So if I was asking them to act, they were terrible. So I was saying to the car, okay, what I want you is to have the confession that the girl stole the TV. That's what I want, you know, and, you know, so say it as you do, you know, when you're working. And suddenly happened sort of a dance between the non-actors who were improvising and the actors who were able to play themselves, but also parts, respecting the transcripts. And there was sort of a trance, you know, between the two of them, you know, and it was wonderful to see that, you know. I remember, I would love just to mention, I know I have to be brief, you know, there is this wonderful baker, you know, who is an African guy coming from Senegal, you know, and so when he was acting, it didn't work, you know, but he told me his life before, you know, all what happened to him in Africa, you know, that he was attacked with a gun, with etc. And I was saying, are you scared about white people? And he said, am I scared in Roubaix? If you see my life in Africa, come on. You know, and he started to improvise and to tell the story of his life, and it was perfect. Yeah.
I know that people there, but I cannot see you at the light, so if you have a question, please shout it out. And any question here? Okay, there are two questions. I will start with this lady.
Thank you. My question is, so right now, I'm from France, je suis française. And right now in France, I know that there's a lot of talk about the despair of policemen. A lot of policemen who are committing suicide or being very, having no hope about their profession. But actually the way that you're depicting in your movie is more policemen being more playful, enjoying what they're doing, or at least we can see a bit of hope in it. And I wonder, in your actual experience when you're working with a policeman, did you actually feel more hope or more despair?
Perhaps it's because you're French.
Maybe
You know, what I think is that, you know, what I tried to do, but perhaps did I do it imperfectly, is to show forlornness. You know, that the young lieutenant is absolutely alone, Daoud is absolutely alone, and each one of the two girls are not lovers. Each one of them are alone. You know, so what I was trying to depict was that. I remember the screening in Cannes. One of the cops, you know, of the film, you know, came to Cannes and wanted to see him on the big screen, you know, in this astonishing theater. And so, but how alone are they all, you know? And so, yeah, I've been through despair, but now it's a film. It's a film, so it's based, you know, I can't deny the fact that I saw so many American films, you know, with policemen, you know, sure, you know, I saw that, you know, and so it's part of my inspiration. And the film didn't try to reflect the reality of the French police. You know, you have this despair, you have also the violence of the police in France, which is like a real problem today. But this film is not dealing with that. This film is dealing with the dialogue between Daoud and these two men who are suspect and guilty, you know, and trying to, when someone did something which is not human, how can you bring him or her back into humanity? I think that's the movement of the film, you know, and Daoud is dedicated to his task, and that's what he's doing. And just remember, you know, it's a short story, you know. She's afraid that I could be too long. It's a short story. Yes, you're afraid. It's a short story, and you know, it's just after Cannes, this Cannes screening, a friend of mine sent me a wonderful message, you know, and called another friend of mine, and he said, Rashid, you have to see the film because it's the story of a priest who is becoming a cop, you know. And I thought, yeah, it's a good pitch. And the day after, I was meeting this journalist, and he said, actually, we will have an interview, but I really loved your film because it's the story of a cop becoming a shrink. And I think, oh, it's a different plot, but it still works. You know? And today I think that the cop, Daoud, is like the angel in the, you're too young to remember that film, in The Wings of Desire, the film, you know, Bruno Ganz being a mind reader and being able to read the souls, you know, and so Daoud being sort of an angel. So that would be three different ways of telling the story.
We'll talk about Daoud, you know, played by Roschdy Zem. He's in a lot of French films, and a lot of his films has played policeman before, but it's always very kind of like, you know, macho and, you know, and so this is so different, you know, against his, you know, what has usually appeared. So does he have to work hard to play this role, or what is it like a new person?
I just can tell you two things about that. Is one thing is that when we met, I know him and I worship his work, you know, since 20 years, but I was not able to write a part for him before. And so we met, and I told him, okay, Daoud has a very harsh life, though he's smiling. And I don't know why he's smiling. You know, he has no family, no wife, no kids, no lover, no nothing. His nephew hates his guts and doesn't understand why. You know, he has a tough life. And though he's smiling. So your job as an actor will find why Daoud is smiling. You know, and so perhaps if you can feel it, you know, it will be smoother. Now, you know, Daoud, Roschdy Zem impressed me because he's, you know, he has this way, you know, he's very what he is, you know. So I thought I never dared to play in front of him, you know, because that's the thing which is written in all the books about acting, you know, never act in front of an actor. Each time I'm starting on a set, I act in front of actors, you know, not to show them, you know, but I'm just taking the shame on me in front of the crowd, and I'm giving them the pride, you know, because they did better than my performance, you know. And so I thought I never dared to act in front of Daoud, you know, in front of Roschdy, because I was too much impressed, you know. And when we were in Cannes, Daoud, Roschdy told me, but it was easy to play the part because I was just doing what you were doing. You were playing in front of me. I said, did I dare? He said, yes, you did dare.
But Daoud, it's also based on the real character. Or it's
not exactly. There was, we had a very charismatic police chief, you know, in Roubaix, who was Algerian, but who never met the two girls, you know. And I think that my intuition when I saw the documentary was, you know, I wanted to see Daoud visiting the two girls and meeting the two girls and speaking with them and doing the interrogatory with them, you know. But so the two characters are quite different. Let's say that the two of them were Algerian, but I'm not that focused about identities, you know, so ethical identities. That's the only thing that they are sharing, but the two characters were different.
And okay, that's a question there.
Okay, on your move, you show, you know, the situations in Roubaix, like economic depressions, conflicts, and we saw another movie here. It's Les Misérables.
Les Misérables,
yes, where they show situations in the in Paris, more conflicts, more aggressive. What's your opinion? It's a difference between, because the Roubaix is a little bit smaller, or still the same?
No, it's a smaller city. It's a very small city, so it's different. It's different, and I think that also I don't think it has to do with the political reality of the two cities, the suburb of Paris and Roubaix, which is a small town on the border. I think it also has to do with the plot, just the plot, I think that Les Misérables, which is a great film, is about the hate, between the youth and the cops, and the abuse of the cops, how you can deal with that, etc. When my film is dealing with the other issues, which could be, it's another issue that I could depict, but it's not dealing with that. I share, politically, I deeply share the position of the director of Les Misérables. I think we belong to the same board, but my film was dealing with other things, which would be guilt. That's why I was saying, the thing that I did was to read Dostoevsky instead of going to make journalistic inquiries about my subject.
Can you talk about the horse?
Sure.
Talk about the horse.
Yes. I was trying to find small details. I didn't want to add a wife, a kid, a divorce thing, the private life, etc. I just wanted to see the cops when they are doing their job, and that was it. And now I was trying to find something, in real life, if it was a documentary piece, the guy would play soccer, or he would go to see soccer games or stuff like that. And there is a thing that I love with Daoud is that he doesn't want to be stabbed. So he's not going in North African bars, he's not going to cops bars, he's going to a very chic hotel, having, sparkling water, and that's it, So, and I'm positive about that. I'm sure that Daoud, when he was a kid, never did any horse thing, it's because it's for the rich people, the wealthy, And so I love the fact that he wanted to have a dream, sort of a dream like that, to say, okay, it's not because, I was born Algerian and I was born poor, that I can't allow myself to dream about a horse. I guess this horse is also coming from the wrong man, the Alfred Hitchcock movie, when the main character is Balestrero is playing with the races. And finally, I could say, I would just like to add two things. I love when he's like a kid. This guy is so mature during the whole film. When you can see him on a white horse at the end of the film, he looks stupid. He looks as if he was 6, terrified with the horse and clumsy. And I love him because I can see his childhood, in his behavior. And the last shot, and I would like to speak about the frozen image, closing the film, is that the pure energy of a horse. After this film, which is a film noir, which is somber and dark, Daoud is looking at pure energy. And this pure energy could be the energy of the city. It's something that he can't tame. You can't tame life. And tomorrow there will be another murder, there will be another robbery, there will be another rape. You can't tame life, and that's why life is great, because it's pure energy, and you have to praise that.
And we have a question.
You spoke already a little bit about the art of the film as you saw, but I was wondering when it came to the edit, if there was anything guiding the balance between the police officers and their work, and then the civilians who are just suspects and the emotional manipulation that they are dealing with. Just the balance between perhaps two opposing sides that we see in the narrative, how you found that.
I realized that, during and it will be a way to answer to your question about what the film is dealing with. I realized that, during the editing process, that the first half of the movie was addressing the whole city. It it was everything large. All these different, affairs that they have to do to deal with, all the different cases that they have to deal with. So it was the whole city. And then a murder happens, and the camera is focusing and transforming itself into a microscope onto close-ups, and you have these two women. And the beginning is told by a narrator, but the narrator never being the hero. The hero is Daoud, and the narrator is Louis. But Louis is never the hero, he won't be the hero, etc. And when the two women are there, you don't need the narrator any longer, you just have the dialogue between Daoud. And as soon as the film was focusing and focusing and focusing, it seemed to me on the editing table that the film was even more larger, because we were starting to deal with the question of the soul. And that could be one of my deepest beliefs, which is the fact that when you film someone, and perhaps is there here a privilege to a woman's face rather than a male's face, and you screen that face, suddenly you can see it, that there is a soul behind. A soul, or if you're not religious, you can call it a light, you can call it a visage, as Levinas would say, or there is a mystery, there is a sparkle behind the face, something unique, and which is not a statistic, which is beyond that, which is priceless. And so the film starts with the whole Roubaix and ends with the mystery of the infinity of a human soul, because these two women committed something that you can't forgive, though they are the soul. So what do you do with that? And it's an absolute mystery.
So I want to ask you about this, there's a literary influence with Dostoevsky, right? The literary influence with Crime and Punishment for literary inspiration. But in terms of films, there's a lot of...
And of Sidney Lumet too.
Huh?
Sidney Lumet too.
Yes.
I would have mentioned the two of them, yeah.
But is there any influence with some of the American films? There's so many American films with this kind of police procedural. So is there anything with influence or?
No, just, usually what I'm doing when I'm making a film, I'm stealing in 25 films, hoping that you won't notice where I'm stealing, because the amount of films is so large that I think, okay, they won't recognize that I'm a thief, But on this one, I just had two films which were really, which became an obsession, for me. One was The Wrong Man, which is so unique in the career of Hitchcock, because Hitchcock in these days was the master of imagination and fantasy and all these things. And he tried to make that film which was dedicated to pure reality. And that was just this side. And that was no more than that, And there is a bit
The Wrong Man
by Hitchcock, with Fonda, astonishing performance of Fonda. And there is a little story about the shooting in the big biography of Hitchcock that I love, is for the ones who saw the film, at the end of the movie there is a scene, a long trial, which is a little bit boring, slightly boring. And he was working with two wonderful writers, and they were providing him great scenes to replace that. And Hitchcock was reading the material saying, it's a very good material and we won't use it because it didn't happen that way. That was, and I was fascinated by that. And there is another film that I love because I love the two actors, it's the New Centurions? Yes, the New Centurions, the film with Roschdy Zem and Cecil Kitsch, by Richard Fleischer, which is New Centurions. It's because I'm French, so I'm pronouncing it in an odd way. Sorry about that. But it's a great film, even if my pronunciation is terrible. New Centurions, Roschdy Zem, Cecil Kitsch.
Wait, the New Centurions.
Yeah.
Roschdy Zem.
That's the one. Yeah, and Richard Fleischer.
I speak French in an English way, and you speak English in a French way. You do it beautifully. Excellent.
Thank you.
I don't want to forget the people up there. Have you any questions? No? And, maybe you can share with our audience what is the next project you told me. And because, Arnaud just arrived here like late last night, and we have another screening of the film tomorrow morning at 11. So if you like it and want to recommend to your friend, so tomorrow is the last chance to catch Arnaud's film. And then he has to right away leave for the airport. So you want to share with our audience what your next project? It's not a film.
No, I'm a bit rarely in the films, and I feel ashamed about that because I will work for stage, so at my age it's ridiculous, because I will have to learn, but it's a great opportunity for me, because I will learn, and I'm working for La Comédie Française, which is a national theatre, and I will adapt a very American play because it's Angels in America.
So that's why he has to cut his visit short and have the black
I'm working
and white.
on Sunday, sorry about that, so that's why the screening has been done.
Well, thank you very much for coming, and thank you, Arnaud.